together one time for something, and I tear this bitch up till they give it to you. And nobody wasn't standing up. They all got an excuse. They all after their own bag. They ain't doing nothing for the community. Everybody doing it for selfish game. I don't want no bunch of motherfucking selfish, self-centered, entitled ass feel like they got something coming to them. No, you don't. You got to earn your keep, or you don't need to be here. So when they had the Million Man March, that was a massive alarm system alert. That means that even the dirty Moors forgot what the fuck was going on. Even they got this shit wrote down on the logs in the motherfucking Masonic lodges. And still forgot how to undo the shit. Because they can't read their own fucking code. They got half the keys. They call it broken keys, missing keys. That's because they're not doing the proper due diligence in order to get to a part to close the motherfucking shit out. If you go back and listen to my first dialogue with Todd, she said, as soon as I seen you, I said, here, close. I'm not here. I don't want none of this shit. If my sisters can't have what's rightfully theirs, I will tear this bitch up. But we brain banging now. And I want to tear some shit up. Right? But they said it ain't necessary. All I got to do is show them motherfuckers that my feathers whoop your feds. And I said, that's all I got to do? Call me the GOAT. Label me Baphomet. Classify me coming with the Lucifer lens. But as soon as y'all figure out what all that shit means, you be like, yep.
Let me get to this next question, Rod. When we die, our soul goes where?
Back to the source from which it came, meaning you go before the prime. Your soul is the energy of creation. First and foremost, you can't sell your soul. That shit is some in-lil bullshit. Can't nobody buy your soul, because if they did, they can't do nothing but give it to you. Your soul only fits you. It's not a motherfucking one-size-fit-all thing. Your soul is the sum total of who you are. So that's not some shit you can barter and trade, just like the earth. You can't sell earth. What kind of dumb shit is that? It was already here. It's gonna be here when you leave. Right? All of the chiefs know that. So when I hear somebody talking about buying land in America, I know they ain't from here. Anybody from America, that's the tribes, know that we operate by the great law. We don't follow man's law. So that's going to automatically make us an outlaw. Then you ask about Tut. About Akhenaten, ties back to the same thing. Right? So the outlaw lines are the lines of the kings and queens who was born from out of the direct royal family, and they all have an opportunity to take the test if they can develop the noble traits, the noble character. Right? That's what Noble Drew Ali name is telling you.
Who is Michelle? Because people are asking about Michelle. If Obama was the clone of Akhenaten, who is Michelle Queen Ty?
I don't fuck with Michelle like that, dog. There's more than one Michelle. One of them ain't no fucking woman. And there's another one that's a woman. And she's the one that was trying to get those girls out of the sex trafficking industry that bought them as her children. That's what that was all about. And they used the other one with the equipment, with the masculine equipment. I just never, that motherfucker always looked funny to me. I couldn't understand why nobody else didn't notice it. They told me I was hating on the black lady. And I was like, really? I guess y'all don't know Stallion is a man.
I ain't going there with you today, Rod. I ain't
going
with you today, Rod.
I'm not gonna tell them to research Joshua Peak. I don't know nothing about that. I'm just saying, if the chief can't see a male horse from a female horse, he don't need to be in this position.
Man,
I know what a stallion is, and I know the mares run the motherfucking town. If you don't know the difference, then I feel for you.
Was Jamaica a special location in the old world?
All of the islands was revered by the peoples of the mainland. We will tear some shit up about them islands, but we all got invaded together. So this is why we used to work between North and South America and the Central American islands. Once the islands was developed, the big mamas from the mainlands would send what's common to us, but rare to them, to the islands. And the families go on a retreat there, present the big mama of the island with the gifts. And then they send us back stuff that we would call delicacies from the island that we wouldn't otherwise see on the mainland. Right? So that's how we paid for that, for their hospitality and their receiving us with open arms. If you go back to the Christopher Columbus story, they'll tell you soon as the boats got to the land, they came bearing gifts. The natives came bearing gifts. This is the custom. Mm-hmm. And then he came with a contract, and we ain't been right ever since.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Let's get to the next question. I just seen it. Where did it go? Damn, I seen the question. I don't know where it go. While I look for this question, Rod, you mentioned, I'm gonna ask you one earlier. You mentioned black goo. I forgot what we was talking about, but you talked about the substance black goo. Could you elaborate on what this black goo was that you talked about a little earlier?
Yeah, it's Anunnaki nanotech. It can be passed on genetically because it's created between the third and fourth dimension. So it got a different set of properties. If you go to the Qigong healers, they'll tell you they've been seeing this a lot. A lot of people was breaking free from the black goo. Right? But it's a very specific nanotechnology that creates what's called sentient metals. And they come in and they ride on your DNA. And that's how they keep you from accessing your chakras. But now the solar rays is designed by Enki that when the human body starts going into the Aquarian cycle, the black goo will start to lose its potency on the human being because we starting to upgrade in our power. It won't work no more. We in the process now where before the energy healers couldn't see it. Now they can see it.
Okay. Let's get to a super chat question. Are you familiar with the concept of creating your astral pyramid? That the same way the Bible talks about a mansion in heaven.
So it's not a pyramid. Your astral, what he's talking about, it's the same as Metatron's cube. That's your Merkaba.
Merkaba, okay. Yeah, I thought it was
right. That's your Merkaba. That's the energy ship for you to travel to other galaxies and universes. When you leave the physical avatar of the body, you have to use your mind to create the Merkaba in order for it to transport you. Remember, I was telling you in some places you could think of the blueprint and tell the metal to do it, and it'll just form it. It kind of work along the same principles, but you designing your own light ship. It's made out of bending rays of light into conscious mind with the conscious mind tapping into the subconscious.
Okay, let's get to the next question. Okay. Has Rod ever heard of Kimberly and Gauguin from Life Force?
Gauguin from Life Force. I don't know. I can't say I have. The name written looks familiar, but I be reading so much stuff until it comes to necessary. Like 2 days from now, I might remember clearly who she is. I mean, it'd have been a while since I accessed that information, but consciously off the top of my head, I don't know who she is, but the name looks familiar.
Okay. Can you talk about the Serpent mounds in Ohio?
They ain't just in Ohio. Those serpent mounds are sacred centers of energy to harness certain spiritual essence by the clans whose blood sink to those mounds. All of the mounds that you see on the planet, all of the pyramids and what you call megalithic structures that was made by man are all genetically synced to a bloodline of one of the original 12 daughters of Isis.
Okay. Let's get to the next question. What is your take on Rashad Jamal?
That's divine insight. Reincarnated Jean Baptiste Dusable. No, not Dusable. He was Toussaint Louverture. And the reason he locked up is because they playing out the Haitian revolutionary conjure in reverse, and he's a critical piece. So if you go back and read the Haitian revolutionary conjure and you overlay his life with Toussaint, you understand why they had to lock him up before they release him. It's because you have to close it the same way you opened it. That's because everything is in cycles. So you got to wait until the alignment of the stars and the energy of the earth meet to a certain position to exit. So when you leaving out, you see the mirror of what you saw going in. It's called a turnaround. So in order for him to get the turnaround, he got to go through this shit, bullshit, made up ass shit, until they start doing certain energy moving exercises in IAT.
Let's get to this question. Is there a link between the Gullah Sumerian goddess and the Gullah Geechee of the Carolinas?
I wouldn't say it's a direct link, but they could be bloodline relatives, but I don't know if the name is betraying that. Because Inky had children with multiple earthborn women all over the planet. And that's one of his tribes that's in the land of Tahuti, is the Gullah Geechee. And you got the Gullah Geechee, the Getty Geechee, the Gullah Getty Geechee. They're all different tribes, but that's telling you they point of origin. I don't remember reading about the Gullah Sumerian goddess. So I have to go back to my tablets and review that in order to give you a definitive answer if they're related.
Okay, next question. What are rainbows in the sky? My daughter always sees them before me. Rainbows in the sky.
Those are refractions of light from the mist and the rays of the sun reflecting off the water in the atmosphere. The density of it or the curvature of the upper atmosphere makes it look curved, right? But if you follow the mist, you can find the end of the rainbow. And they write about it biblically as the sign of an eternal covenant, because they always been here, they're gonna always be here. So the rainbow being the symbol for the permanent covenant or the eternal covenant, which is that the women will always have first right to the earth rights. And now we going back to honor that. But that's why they use the rainbow as a symbol of an eternal covenant, right? Because they always been there ever since the dome or the atmospheric structure looked like it bends the light.
Okay.
Your daughter might be an indigo too, because she could see them. Remember I was talking about the spectrum of light? It worked with the rainbows too. Sometimes she could be tuning the father in to the spectrum she on by making him see the rainbow, because he might have to look just his eyes just slightly off in order to see on her frequency. So she'll see it first. And she might be an indigo because she can see a broader spectrum of light than the average child.
Okay. Do we incarnate in every age?
No. Only the masters, like I'm only going to come back when it's like I'm the last resort. Normally I come back, they don't wake me up. They don't want me in this shit. Right? So most of my past lives, I never woke to who I am like I am now in this life. But we don't always reincarnate in every age, but we will reincarnate in every cycle of ages, which is a 24,000-year loop. And you can reincarnate at different periods. You could skip a whole age and be in every other age, the other 3 ages in the cycle.
Okay. There's some good information here, y'all. Damn, the chat moving so fast, y'all. I'm happy, y'all. Okay. Why I only see spaceships in the dream world and not my day-to-day?
They talking to you in the dream world. Don't think because you don't see them in your day to day that that's any less valuable than seeing them in your dream. Some people don't get that lucky, right? So your dream self, which is your higher body, when you go into the dream state, you're either going to travel for studying. Most of those are masters, or you on the life review. The life review come in as abstract. Is based off your emotional triggers and have you learned from the last time you fucked up, and then your dreams will start telling stories that you're supposed to learn from. But we've been taught to disassociate the dream world from the physical world, right? But the spaceships in the dream world is the same as seeing them in the physical world, technically, because they're between the fifth and the fourth dimension at that point, which means in the 3D world, they just out of your visual spectrum of light.
Okay. How do we access the Akashic records?
So you can access the Akashic records through meditation, but it takes years of meditating. The Akashic records is not really what you want to access unless you're trying to do the work that I'm doing, trying to get the whole earth back to the women. But normally your book of life will tell you everything that you need to know, because before you take physical form, you put it in your book of life at critical points what you want to happen to alert you to certain information. Right. So the high masters read the Akashic records just like reading off a chalkboard. It's like holographically in front of them. Some of them emotively, they can read their emotions so well they can put them in words. Those are called poets.
Wow. What is the purpose of twin flames, Brother Rod?
The twin flames is really it's really no true such thing as a twin flame. But you got what's called a promise, which is your counterpart that's you made the agreement with to aid and assist you in finding your balance in the earth realm so you can get your faculties and remember who the fuck you is. The twin flame drama has been, with the so-called woke movement, drawn completely out of proportion, highly distorted, and it also causes people to neglect their shadow work because they're looking for somebody else called a twin flame to come do it for them. But you're supposed to be soul groups. You come in a soul group. Your soul group emerged from the essence that you emerged from at the same time you did. It's like giving birth to twins, but only through different people on different parts of the planet. Or they could be in the same part of the planet, but you might not meet them for years to come. So when you feel that draw to them, that's why they call it the twin flame. It's like a mirror flip.
Okay. Trying to give me 1 second, Rod. Give me 1 second. All right. Can Rod talk about Haile Selassie and Rastafari?
Haile Selassie, the Earthborn, Malachi wrote a book called Haile Selassie the Christ, where he gives his whole lineage. And the reason he did that, so he can prove that Haile Selassie wasn't from Enlil's in line. Once he proved that he wasn't a so-called, then I knew he was an Earthborn. He reincarnated in the guy named Hermes Ashkaron. That's who he reincarnated as. The Rastafari was the name the Rastas gave him, but he didn't refer to himself as Rastafari. But that was his original name before he ascended the emperor's seat over Ethiopia. His name was Rastafari. But Haile Selassie became his name after the name change. And the reason why the Rastas focused on Haile Selassie, because they knew that he would be instrumental. Okay, so you're looking at the elders in the hills of Jamaica, and they talking to nature, and nature is talking back to them. They reading this play written by Marcus Garvey about the last king being crowned in Africa, right? And that's the king of heaven and earth, which there has never been one before. So when they see Haile Selassie, he wasn't crowned as king. He was crowned as emperor. That's a whole different person from the prophecy they extracted from the translation of the play using, but they knew that somewhere over there in the Abzu, somebody would emerge at the close of the age to fix this shit, and that Haile Selassie had transfer what you call it, transmuted his energy from the Rastafari to Haile Selassie, right? King of King, Lord of Lords, conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. But he ain't no, so they telling us that he's gonna be instrumental and critical at the close of the age in order to close out everything and see clearly what's to take place. And for those who don't know, Hermes Ashkenaz, Hermes is the same as saying Hermes in Greek, right? And that's another name for Tahuti.
Mm-hmm.
And Ashkenaz, I forgot what that means. I used to know what it means. But that, for the ones in on the West Coast, they know him to be Nipsey Hussle. Right? So if you go back and you study Nipsey, you'll see he had a meteoric rise and then he disappeared. They say he got murdered.
Right.
Right? That's the sign of a master that can, the phoenix, where he can burn in his own ashes and rise from them. It's the same with Tupac, Biggie, Eazy-E. They all followed the same pattern of the rise of the phoenix. That's because they was all chiefs on the land working to aid and assist in the closing of the conjure at the close of the age, because didn't nobody think that anybody would be able to do it. So all of the masters are in America right now. And you know them as historical figures, but those people have reincarnated to make sure this shit get done right. They wanted to see, what do it look like when the shit get closed the right way? So they told them I was coming, and they all said I gotta be there, including the dirty ones. And who told y'all Dick Gregory was dead? Did anybody see his funeral?
I think Dr. B. Serious was at his funeral.
Did he check to see if that was a mummy, a wooden figure, or that was really Dick?
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
Because I got the message today that he don't say be firm.
There you go again, Rod. There you go again, Rod.
Tell me how much sense this make. They say this man just had a heart attack. Right? He been a vegan for most of his life. So he don't got no plaque buildup from polyunsaturated fats from eating bovine meat and pork. He don't got high cholesterol from eating unsaturated fats and bovine beef. Right? So his system would look like any 30-year-old system because it hasn't been abused. So what make you think he's just gonna have a heart attack and die? Huh? Trying to tell you something.
You hit him with the
tell you something. Huh? Don't ask me what, you stupid or something? Are you stupid? Huh? Are you stupid?
That's how he
Stop falling for every goddamn trick they throw in the book. Everybody they tell you dead ain't got to be dead. This is a world. It's a big place. They can hide motherfuckers anywhere. Some of them be hiding in plain sight, and y'all just don't see them. Sometimes I point them out just to prove to y'all that I know what the fuck I'm talking about. But most of the time, I just overlook Shock G. Digitally underground.
When you hear the ring, a lot of people are interested in the ringing in your ears. When you hear the ringing in your ears, is there anything specific we should do?
All the instructions follow the mass ringing in the ears. That's why they've been trying to prop it up to be some kind of medical disorder. So you would try to run from it when it happens. Ain't no escaping it. You're going to be scanned by the elders for genetic health. That's what that's going to be. They're going to be reading your genetic health, and then they're going to be reading your spiritual reservoir. Your spiritual reservoir tells them how much self-work you did to be able to ascend. If you ain't do your shit, then Earth will disassociate the synchronization, and all of those people are just going to be... I've been telling them this for 3 years. They just think I'm crazy. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's why all of them got to leave for a period of time. It's going to take about 12 years for anybody that don't belong on the earth to be able to come back in, because she's going to send out a frequency. They going to tell you that it's a banshee screaming. We ain't going to hear it. But it's going to be so loud they gonna be bleeding out their eyes, bleeding out their ears, and they gonna say it sound like a banshee screaming. We not gonna hear it though, because we sink to the earth. And that's the only thing they're gonna be able to, because that's the only thing where it's recorded where they'll know. Rip up the stomachs and wombs of their women and crush their infants' heads against the wall in order to annihilate forever their execrable race. That when the same cannot be done openly, I will secretly use the poison cup, the strangling cord, the steel of the poignard, which is it's like a dagger, or the leaden bullet, regardless of the honor, rank, dignity, or authority of the person or persons, whatever may be their condition in life, either public or private, as I at any time may be directed to do so by an agent of the Pope or superior of the Brotherhood of the Holy Faith of the Society of Jesus. Now, the Pope issue was known as, it's hard to read on here, but it's the most violent, bloody oath for the papacy. Now, a lot of it might seem like, when you read the body of it, it might seem, because of the wording back then was drastically different, and the F sometimes looked like an S.
Okay.
Right. But when you zoom in to that marquee paragraph right there. All right. So this is the papal's most wicked and bloody oath of secrecy. And then right here in the headline, it says, for the murdering of kings, princes, and slaying of people. I can't even read it on here.
Yeah.
But this is the oath, and the marquee statement is the application of the white man's burden. So Rudyard Kipling was a poet, and he wrote this to explain what the white man's burden was in relation to the organic peoples of the land that they call the infidels and the peasants and the goyim. He was a good friend with Cecil Rhodes. And Cecil Rhodes, Rudyard Kipling, was good friends with Cecil Rhodes. Cecil Rhodes was given the army by, I think it was the Dutch, to settle the Congo, settle the African Congo. That was part of the scramble. See what them dudes in the barrel? That's it. So this is a poetic description of the white man's burden. In order to understand the white man's burden, you need to know who in the hell is a white man. Right? Because when they first came over here, they was melanated beings, but they called themselves Dutch, Portuguese, French, Englishmen, conquistadors, which were Spaniards, and they called themselves blackamoors. Right? So right here, zoom in a little bit more, Elder. This is Black's Law definition of a free white person or a white person in law, right? It's a free white persons referred to in Naturalization Act as amended by Act of July 14th, 1870, has meaning naturally given to it when first used in First State 103, Section 3, meaning all persons belonging to the European races then commonly counted as white, and their descendants, including such descendants in other countries to which they have immigrated. It includes all out the gate. more or less intermixed with people of Celtic, Scandinavian, Teutonic, Iberian Latin, Greek, and Slavic descent. It includes Magyars, Lapps, and Finns, and the Basque and Albanians. It includes the mixed Latin, Celtic Iberian, and Moorish inhabitants of Spain and Portugal. Those are conquistadors they talking about. When they say Moorish inhabitants of Spain and Portugal, this is your conquistadors, right? Hold on, I gotta find my spot.
Right here, the mix.
The mixed Greek, Latin, Phoenicians, and North African inhabitants of Sicily. For those who don't know, after the wars with Hannibal, they exiled all of a sizable portion of the melanated population to the island to try to stamp out the Etruscans, which is the Moors in Italy, right? It says, and the mixed Slav, which means slave, and Tartar inhabitants